The Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu once said, knowing others is intelligence, knowing oneself is true wisdom, mastering others is strength, mastering oneself is true power. Understanding a culture and how people relate to the world is help people understand why other people relate to them. People inevitably gain self-understanding through relationships and life progressing in the way that reveal their own true selves. Similarly, accepting one's culture is important. So today I am going to present my own cultural intelligence. I will present three main points. The characteristics of cultural intelligence, the second main point, my level of cultural intelligence, and the last one is some ways to improve my cultural intelligence. So let's get started. The first main point, what makes someone culturally intelligent? Is it genetic? Unlike IQ, which may influenced by genetic factor, someone who has high cultural intelligence has the skill to relate and work effectively in a culturally diverse situations. They can switch cultural cruise control when living in a cross-cultural environment. The cultural intelligent individual are able to identify and understand the values, beliefs, and communication style of people from different cultural backgrounds. Their knowledge of cultural differences assists them in empathizing and understanding others. Christopher Early and her partner Eleni Mo Sakowski, they both professor at university, have written a review article published in Harvard's Business. Cultural intelligence, an outsider's simply natural ability to interpret someone unfamiliar and ambiguous gesture the way that person compatriots would. It is sometimes difficult to cooperate in daily life and at work because of misunderstood language. In some cases, an outsider can even mirror the action of their compatriots or colleagues when interpreting unfamiliar and ambiguous gestures. Cultural intelligence cannot be measured with a score, unlike IQ, and people would view it instead as needing continue improvement. So how does someone who is culturally intelligent think? Let me give you an example. When someone who has never been abroad see an Indian friend eating with their hands for the first time, what does he think? Many people think their culture is center of universe because they are on cultural cruise control, mean that they carry their own beliefs, value, and experiences oblivious to other culture and perspective, and third, often ignore or judge other behavior or action. In contrast, someone with high cultural intelligence would think it's traditional practice and easy to adapt with, and cultural intelligence will try to learn or ask local people to see why they use their hands. According to my roommate, who come from Indian, the regular Indian diet include rotis and parathas, which is like a flat bread. So what doesn't make sense to eat with a knife or a fork. So above, I cover the characteristics make up someone cultural intelligence. Next, I'm going to present my level of cultural intelligence. Again, David Thomas and Kurt Instant, author of the book Cultural Intelligence, describe cultural intelligence as the ability to function effectively in a cross-cultural situation based on cultural knowledge, mindfulness, skills, and cross-cultural competence. In my opinion, cultural intelligence refers to a person's ability to deal effectively with diversity. This means being aware of other cultures and show respect and practicing and repeating it until it becomes second nature. So what's the attribute do I have in that I discussed about? Well, let me give you example about Gal Gadot, who played Wonder Woman. She was born in Israel and speak English as a second language. Despite being a superstar, she still make mistake when speaking English. And during a TV interview, however, she make mistake. Instead of being embarrassed over them, she make fun of them and she laugh at them. So it turns out she made a great interview and the audience loved her way of handling the differences. My experience is similar to her. I made a lot of mistakes speaking in English. As a result, when faced with the cultural differences, rather than limiting myself within my own script, I opened my mind, accepted and respected, adapting to it while still remaining my own unique identity. I take different perspectives on things. Saying I know the second language, I have experienced amazing thing that I would never experience otherwise. In class, I was able to be with people as wise, insightful, and inspiring as you. I feel it was a milestone in my learning English journey. So Kathy Tan, the head of localization and my ballet, one of the world's hottest personal growth companies, describe 4 stages of experiencing cultural differences when traveling to a new country. In her TED Talk of Cultural Intelligence, these are include shock, frustration, adjustment, and acceptance. As a result, accepting a new culture does not mean that you sacrifice each other's belief or values. Instead, people recognize the differences between two cultures and realize they can live together in harmony. So, am I cultural intelligence? I believe I have cultural intelligence. By learning a new language and study abroad, I have been exposed to many different cultures. This is important to me. I enjoy conversing with people from different cultures. I capable of understanding the feeling of people from different cultures. Particularly, I am developing a repertoire of cross-cultural skill and knowing when to use them. So that was my own level of cultural intelligence. I'm going to talk about some ways to improve cultural intelligence. So when I first arrived in New York, my friend invited me for a dinner. Usually I would order food for everyone at the table. However, my friend didn't like it. And I remember they corrected me and I feel very uncomfortable. Through the class, I gained insight into the differences between collectivism and individualism. The collective group is where I come from. The collectivist culture value the needs and goals of the group as a whole over the needs and desire of the individual. I order same food and everyone can share was a part of my culture. Unlike my friends who is a individual culture, which is especially American culture, they tend to order for themselves. I thought that people didn't like the food. As a result, I saw my friend emotional feedback through the my cultural classes. Mean I interpret my friend's reaction based on how someone from my culture would react. And that would mean that the person wasn't interested, didn't want to join the group, or didn't like the food. Julian is the founder of Monda, the project that helped Norwegians benefit from cultural diversity while supporting talented foreigners in their effort to adapt and connect with Norway. In his TED Talk, How Culture Did Drive Behaviors, he said, people see the world through the cultural classes and the lens through the brain shape the reality. And if people can change the lens, they can change the way the brain perceive behaviors, but they can also change the way other people relate to the confront cultural differences. How can I take this knowledge and become more cultural intelligence? Well, another example, people in America told me to use the app to find a man, mean that people can find someone they love through the application. I was like, are you kidding me? It's weird. How can? It has never happened before in Vietnam. And if it does, it's very unusual. When I realized it's a cultural thing, I understood why it's normal in a culture. It's common for people to find their love online. And if I cannot change my lens, I will never see my true love. I will spend years believing no one like Asian girls or for years, I would believe everyone was rejecting me. I needed to change my cultural lenses. So what will I do in the future to be more cultural intelligence? Well, my goal is to understand my own culture better. To understand other culture, I must first understand my own culture to understand where I stand and what I believe. Doing this presentation helped me understand my own cultural bias and assumptions. As a result, I have the opportunity to interact with others' culture from my peers. In addition, I'm learning a new language. Next semester, I will study Spanish. To develop cultural awareness, I believe language play a significant role. So above, I cover the characteristics that make someone cultural intelligence. Second one is my level of cultural intelligence, and the last one is some ways to improve my cultural intelligence. So this is the end of my cultural intelligence presentation. The stranger see only what he knows is an African proverb describing our tendency to look for things that are familiar to us.